a natural, brilliant state.
We're all here to move our Black communities forward.
We think our children have to have the best. It's all about discipline.
How are we going to discipline ourselves so that we're able to save, so that we're able to make good financial decisions?
Recognizing that there's a road ahead if you manage the road in front of you.
The decisions that you're going to be making today in your lives where it comes to money will affect you in the future.
Discipline is one of the things that we often learn, sometimes by our environment, or sometimes we're forced to do it, and sometimes we don't learn it at all.
Stores want to get us in and out and get our money, and that's it. It's a game, so you have to be really wise to the game.
Do you know what it costs to run your home on a monthly basis?
Land acknowledgement. As we gather together, we acknowledge the sacred land on which we reside. It has been a site of human activity for 15,000 years. This land is the territory of the Huron-Wendat and Petun First Nations, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit River. The territory was the subject of Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy and Confederacy of the Ojibwe and allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Today, this gathering place is still the home of many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community on this territory. We are also mindful of broken covenants and the need to strive to make right with all our relations. Last but certainly not least, we acknowledge the people of African descent who were brought here against their own will or in search of a safe place to live their lives and raise their children. Reconnaissance des terres. En nous rassemblant, nous reconnaissons la terre sacrée sur laquelle nous résidons. C'est un site d'activité humaine depuis 15 000 ans. Cette terre est le territoire des Premières Nations Huron-Wendat et Petun, les Scéniques et plus récemment les Mississaugas de la rivière Crédit. Le territoire était sujet de l'alliance de la ceinture Wampum plat avec cuillère, un accord entre la Confédération Iroquois et Confédération des Ojibwe et des nations alliées à partager et à prendre soin pacifiquement pour les ressources autour des Grands Lacs. Aujourd'hui, ce lieu de rassemblement est toujours le foyer de nombreux peuples autochtones de toute l'île de la Tortue et nous sommes reconnaissants d'avoir la possibilité de travailler dans la communauté sur ce territoire. Nous sommes également conscients des alliances brisées et de la nécessité de nous efforcer de guérir toutes nos relations. Dernier point, mais non le moindre, nous remercions les personnes d'ascendance africaine qui ont été amenées ici contre leur volonté ou à la recherche d'un endroit sûr où vivre leur vie et élever leurs enfants.
This webinar provides illustrative information with respect to the subject matter covered and does not represent an official opinion or position of the Black Business and Professional Association. The BBPA makes no representations, warranties, or guarantees as to assume no responsibility for the content or application of the material contained herein, and especially disclaim all liability for any damages arising out of the use or reference to or lines on such material.
Good Saturday morning. It is Saturday, January the 28th, and we are here live on Community Space. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It's not too late to join us here on Community Space, the financial literacy program that speaks the language of the community. There's a saying that when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And that's why we use what we call our 7 C's to always make sure that we're ready. So we use conscious choices using the power of our voice. We use communication. We use curiosity of our potential. We use commitment, sticking to it all the way through. We use change and being open to change. And how open are we to be conducive to the changes that are going to be coming up in our lives? And we also use challenging ourselves and courage to make sure that we always make the way through. So those are our 7 C's, and we definitely want you to utilize them and apply whatever you learn. And talking about applying whatever we learn, we've got another great episode here on session 3 of the series of 3 with Peter from Development. Good morning, Peter. How are you this morning? We haven't heard Peter yet.
Good morning.
All right,
good
what's
morning.
going on, Peter? How you doing, my brother?
I'm well. I had a bit of a technical difficulty, but I'm well. I'm excited to be talking to you guys today once again. I have some exciting information that I want to share with you guys, especially dealing with our community-minded business concept, really walking you through that and answering any questions you may have and really directing the audience to the BBPA if they want to further their business concept or business plan, So I'm super excited and I'm ready to get started. I mean, like.
Definitely so, yes. And for those of you joining us for the first time, or if you haven't, or if you weren't with us in the last 2 sessions, Peter has been here talking about Black entrepreneurship and the space that we can create for our community to thrive, not just survive, but to thrive. And it's been great in terms of all the gems that you've dropped. So I think we're actually going to be calling you Peter the Jeweler because you've got so many gems. All right. So how was your week? Is your week good?
Yes, my week is good. Got a lot of work done, of course, and then really prepping for next week because I have a wedding coming up. But other than that, really I have my head to the ground and really utilizing all the tools that are around me to execute the work that we do at Development.
All right. And likewise, there's a lot of stuff happening here at the BBPA. We've got programs after programs starting up. So there's something for everybody. So stay tuned, and we will be talking about those programs later on today. And folks here in the Zoom room, don't forget to tell a friend to join us right now to get this information. And don't let it just stay in the room, reverberate it, tell it on the mountain, over the hill, and everywhere. So join us here right now. Here's the time, here's the place, community space. Back to you there, Peter.
All right. So as I mentioned to you before, we're going to be talking about developing your community-minded business concept during today's session. But before we do, as I did last week and the week before, I want to give you a little bit of background on who we are at Development, because if you weren't here during our last sessions, it's just good for you to understand what we do and gain a sense of all of the opportunities that we have. So at Development, we're a trailblazing Black-led 501c3 tax-exempt nonprofit organization that serves ambitious young Black people from around the world, with a focus on college students and recent graduates who aim to positively impact the Black community, but lack the resources and support necessary to do so. We aim to play a key role in driving the creation of sustainable personal, generational, and communal wealth. We accomplish this by empowering the next generation of Black visionary leaders to prioritize historically and globally conscious community-minded entrepreneurship and philanthropy. Through our commitment to re-empowering the global Black community through historically centered re-education that empowers aspiring Black visionaries to develop their world differently, we sustainably solve deep-seated historical knowledge and wealth gap issues caused by centuries of global Black economic oppression. We currently fulfill our mission through two programs: our workshop-based Black Generational Wealth Program and flagship Consultrepreneurship Summer Internship Program. All offer beneficiaries some form of analytical, economic, Africana history training and equip them with executable, community-minded business concepts, rock-solid, easy-to-follow roadmaps for personal development and financial security, and lifelong access to practical resources and a community of Black business mentors. To learn more about our other programs for the youth, please visit our website at development.org. So if you have that college student, or you have that niece or nephew out there, or if you're in college, really look into the programs that we offer. So today, as I mentioned to you before, I'll be focusing on developing your community-minded business concept. So let's just jump right into that. So during this part of the series, you'll learn how to actively fill out your original community-minded business concept form that inherently teaches the art of giving back through business ownership that is grounded in sound business research, analysis, and strategic planning. You will also have the opportunity to learn about the business incorporation process, as well as the first steps involved in bringing your business to the public, including the different types of organizational legal structures, how to secure a business name, and the steps involved in legalizing a business, opening a business bank account, and making a new business real to the public. So first and foremost, I want everyone to visit this link that I have on the screen, which is www.development.org/CMBCG. That's Community Minded Business Concept Guidelines. So when you get a chance, please visit that. That is our guidelines for our Community Minded Business Concept Form. And I want to put that in the chat group. So Victoria, if you could drop that in the chat group, that'd be awesome. Let me pull up my chat so I can put it here. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So I'm gonna give you a moment to just pull up that concept, and I'm just gonna walk you through that concept itself. The concept begins with section 1, which zeroes in on products, services, and giving back. The idea for you all is to really ask yourself a question. What products and or services does your business offer? This means like, this is the most basic aspect of your business concept. The idea is you need to ask yourself, will you create a tangible product that you will have to send to others, such as, a glasses company, or a scientific invention, or a service that you will deliver to others, such as counseling, or for some of those who are, like consulting or for corporate entities, that's a service that will fall under the service aspect, or both. For instance, some businesses could offer products and or services, like nonprofits who sell their curriculum to third parties and provide them with training to get them started. So, with that first question, you need to ask yourself those few questions as you think about your business concept. The next question you have to answer is, what problems/issues do your products and or services solve, address, and how do they do so? And I want you to keep in mind of the characters on that business concept form, because the characters in it itself is to help you make everything very concise, especially when you're putting together a business concept. It's important for you to be very concise, so you're very direct. When you're working on a business concept, work on it as if you gave this business concept to someone else and they had no idea of what you're doing. They would gain a sense of what you were about to do as you're working on that, on your business concept. So, you really have to zero on your products and or services. What would they fill? Will they fulfill an unmet need? Or and unmet needs refer to problems, issues that are truly painful, inconvenient, and irritating. When it comes to such problems/issues, people will go out their way to access a product and or service that appear to be potential remedies. So you have to really analyze your product and see if your product offers those type of things to the public. And then when it comes to what makes your products and or services unique, we want you to think about what sets your business apart from other businesses. Is it the way to design is it the way you design your products and or services, or the story behind your product and or services, the story that you tell people? Or is it people making or delivering them? You really have to think about those things. Is the mission driving it, or is it all of the above? Once you determine what your products and or services are, what problems you are solving through your products and or services, and what makes them unique, you must also determine how do you measure the effectiveness of your product and or services, and what results/impacts do you need to see in order for you to know that your business is successful. In other words, how you grow, how much you grow, it really relates to the terms of the number of customers or beneficiaries your business attracts annually. How much increase do you need to see in terms of followers on social media or revenue generated, funds raised? The exact questions you need to ask yourself in relation to the specific indicators you pinpoint as meaningful will be slightly different depending on the type of business you have. But generally, you are looking at growth indicators in terms of the target group, interest, and revenue generation. If your business is not a non-for-profit, that puts all of your revenue towards addressing a particular social problem, negatively impacting the significant portion of the global Black community, or social enterprise that uses its revenue from selling goods or services towards furthering a cause benefiting Black people. What private philanthropic initiatives can your business lead that aim to address the root causes of a major problem plaguing the Black race? More specifically, a nonprofit leverages all the revenue towards addressing a particular social problem negatively impacting a significant portion of the Black community. A social enterprise leverages its revenue towards furthering a cause benefiting Black people. And a philanthropic for-profit organization operates with the goal of making money, but also leverages the root causes of a major problem plaguing the Black race. Based on the business concept you're pursuing, what could be the most streamlined and effective way for you to make a difference in the Black community, in the way that you aim to make a difference? So when we move on to section 2, you'll be challenged to begin conceptualizing your mission and vision statements. So what is your business vision statement? A vision statement is the desired future state of the business. In other words, this should be the big picture, aspirational description of what you think your business should accomplish in the future. So the best example I can give to you is as a vision statement is if everything was said and done, if you created something and you wanted, at the end of the day, you wanted that business concept, let's take, for instance, development. Ideally, we want everyone to solve their personal issues. We want people to identify and solve their own socioeconomic issues by themselves. So at the end of the day, if everybody was solving their socioeconomic issues, then development wouldn't exist. So our vision statement is that. So when it comes to your business mission statement is the role you work towards every day so you can carry out your vision. A great mission clearly identifies and communicates the target audience and the goal serving your beneficiaries, customers, and what sets your business apart. So ideally, for development, we re-educate. We want aspiring Black visionaries to develop their world differently, and we do that every day, by the work that we do, and we carry that out through the programs that we offer aspiring Black visionaries or Black youth. So we carry that out every day, and at the end of the day, if all of the youth could solve their socioeconomic issues, then obviously we've done our job and we carried out our vision. Now, section 3 focuses in on your motivation. You'll have the opportunity to examine your motivation behind developing this type of business. This is where you can be introspective about what led you to get involved with your sort of work in question. Think back to the first time you realized you were passionate about it. The questions are pretty straightforward, but require a deep level of transparency, which depends on your personality. It may be challenging to tap into it. So I urge you to be honest when you're answering these questions. You will find that they will become the foundation of your business website, bio, and all the discussions you have around why you started the business. So those questions that you need to ask yourself is, what life experiences have inspired you to create this business? That is, was there a particular period in your life that impacted how you see the world and led to this particular interest in pursuing this line of work, or that or inspired a particular interest in learning more about that issue related to that type of work? Another question you need to ask yourself is, what are your more personal dreams and ambitions for your business? For example, will your business revolutionize the way a certain sector works, or the way that people do certain things, or a set of things? Will your business dominate a certain sector? Will your business break international barriers and exist all around the world? Why do you feel the world needs your business? Which is the third question. This is the big question. It requires you to put your feelings to the side and be objective about why your business is important and why those outside of you will be drawn to it. What huge gap does it fill in terms of products and or services that it offers that other businesses aren't currently fulfilling? So these are the questions that you have to ask yourself about motivation and when it deals with your business concept. Now, section 4 will deal with the framework of your business, the organizational details, i.e., what is the name of your business? The name of your business may change many times before you register it formally. This is why we ask you to provide us the business name you're currently likely to use. But don't be surprised if you find yourself considering other business names as you develop your concept, even after it's done, because, at the end of the day, we're all human. So the idea that you come across or name that you come across, somebody else may already be using. So it's always, you have to keep in the back of your mind that, okay, what are these names or set of names that I should consider naming my business? What country and or countries does your business operate within? These days, many businesses are global due to the shift to virtual interactions like we're doing right now. However, there are still many businesses that are country specific due to the nature of the product and or services they offer, especially when it comes to who they benefit and their target audience. What is your domain name? When it comes to domain name, it's important for you to check if it's available, by going to websites like GoDaddy or other relevant reputable domain registrars, and see if your preferred domain name is available in the country where your business is located. Sometimes a domain name can be country specific, so it's important. If that's important to you, you should look into that. What legal business organizational structure is your business? This is also important to determine and requires you to do a bit of research on the different types of organizational structures, what their pros and cons are, and how they should benefit you as an owner of your business in terms of how it needs to operate. For example, a sole proprietorship or partnership versus a corporation, in Canada. And then you have to ask yourself, why did you choose this business structure over other legal structures? This question forces you to justify why you chose this structure you chose, which requires you to do some research necessary to make that decision. And question number 6, what industry sectors does your business operate within? Again, this question requires you to do research on different industries, for example, media, advertising, gaming, performing, architecture, fashion, technology, charity. Whatever field you go into, you have to do the due diligence and do the research and understand what it truly takes to survive in the industry sector. And then questions 7 and 8 require you to think through who the owners are and why. Who are the founding business owners and the leaders? What are their titles? What aspects of their background are relevant to the positions they hold? And what is your relationship with them? You also have to think about what the roles are, of the owners, of the leaders. This is where you have to detail who will be leading the business initially. You, your friend, or your friends, or are you going to lead this or your company as a group? It's very important for you to think about who's going to be leading your company and why. For instance, if you're going to be CEO, of your company, and a lot of people like the title CEO, but it carries a heavy burden. Being a CEO requires you to give the business what it needs to be successful. You will have to lead the other co-founder, if there is a co-founder, and tell them what their roles are compared to yours. You know, you have to really delve into all of the operations in terms of strategic planning, human resources, and all other high-level organizational administration. And then you would have to say, okay, the other co-founder or partner will focus on, you know, different aspects of the business, such as, you know, marketing or technology or, you know, operations. Take it.
Yeah. And if I could just jump in there really quick, Peter, in terms of what you just mentioned about the CEO. And you're absolutely right. And when you're starting up a business, if you're the CEO, you are pretty much every role that exists within that business. Mm-hmm. And even if you don't have the expertise or you don't have the budget to hire people to do those different roles, you've got to get really acquainted very quickly, because there is no stopping. There is no, I've got to figure it. Well, you mean there's a lot of figuring out you have to do, but you've got to be able to pivot and mm-hmm. think on your, because when that ball starts rolling, there is no, well, I'll get back to you next week, or I'll get back to you in 2 weeks, in terms of just the fast-paced nature of business and in this day and age. So yeah, definitely so. You've got to be ready to roll. And I think what you're presenting here right now is, a great sense of understanding and the homework that it entails before you get ready to put your feet on that solid ground.
And I want to note that, like I said to you before, this is a business concept. And a lot of people have this notion that a business concept, why do I need to build a business concept? I just want a business plan. The concept comes before the plan. You know, these are the questions that you have to ask yourself before you come up with a business plan. You know, and usually with the business plan, it comes with what are your outcomes, what goals you want to meet. But before you get there, you have to understand what the structure must be as a business, and that's the concept itself. So you're absolutely right, Roderick. You know, as being a CEO is a heavy burden where you have your foot in any and everything. You know, even if you're not ready, you better get ready, because people are going to be asking you questions, and you have to answer them. You know, as CEO.
And the best way to get ready is to stay ready. So
yeah,
be prepared.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And then the next question, which is question number 9, really think about drafting up a logo or official logo. For a number of us, this question is to force you to think about a concept. What do you want your business to be? How do you want your business to be represented in a logo? And when people are looking for you, how do they identify your business? That's why we want you to really consider drafting a logo to give you a sense of where you're starting and where you need to go. And then we also want you to copy and paste some images that capture the true essence of your product and or services. You know, when you copy and paste some images, you can just go on a website on Google and look up some images that truly represent what it is that you're trying to do. This is a moment where you can just reflect and say, all right, outside of all of this information that I put on this paper, this is what I want people to get out of it. And it's really nice to really have an image represent that. So we want you to copy and paste some images and put those there. Section 5, we delve into the market. You'll be challenged to do some research on your target market and find information that supports why you've chosen them, and provide a solid foundation for justifying how you plan to connect with them and securing and maintaining their buy-in. So let's just go through the marketing questions. What is your business's target market and why? The idea is for you to think through who will be your main beneficiaries of your products and or services. Your target market may be one group of people or a set of different groups of people. For example, if you create glasses for women ages 16 through 30, you will have to detail why you've chosen that target market. Perhaps you chose that target market because you are 16. You're in the age range of 16 and 30, year old women, and you feel passionate about that demographic. Or maybe you provided services to the elderly and young adults with physical disabilities because you feel that they have commonalities that necessitate your service. However the case may be, think about and think through and explain the reason why you chose that target market. The second question you need to ask yourself is, how would you like your target market to view your brand? Ideally, you must think through the details of how you want your target market to view your brand. That is, explain how you want your target market to perceive your brand as a reliable company, as a business that offers one-of-a-kind experiences, as a nonprofit for Black women seeking free therapy, as the go-to lawn mowing company for affluent families in a particular area. These are all ideas and concepts you have to think about, especially when you're delving into thinking about your target market. And then a third question is, how do you reach your target market? When you think through how you will reach your target market, keep in mind that if your target market consists of a set of different groups of people, your approach for reaching them may vary. For example, you may reach one group through cold calls and another group through social media. That means if you are providing services to the elderly and young adults with physical disabilities, you may reach the elderly better through physical mail and phone calls, and young adults with physical disabilities via email and social media. The fourth question you need to ask yourself is, how do you maintain and develop your relationships with important members of your target group? The first question you need to ask yourself is, the first thing this question forces you to think about is determining who is important, who are the important members of your target group. The important members include major donors, or if you have alumni, if your business is a nonprofit organization, or top spenders if your business is a for-profit that sells products. Examples of how you maintain and develop such relationships include sending out quarterly newsletters and offering rewards and membership opportunities, etc. This is how you have a consistent relationship with your target audience, or your target marketing group. And then you have to ask yourself, what research validates that there will be a demand for your product and or services from your target group? And you have to provide at least 3 examples. Lastly, when it comes to the market, you will need to do your research and determine what valid information supports the fact that there will be a demand for your product and or service. Said differently, what information can you find to justify your belief that your target market will value you and what you offer? So taking our concept of providing services to the elderly and the young adults with physical disabilities. Further, if we were to say that services we provide are free mental health services or support and physical therapy services, you could easily find research that details both parties suffer from substantial mental and physical health issues due to their unique ailments, justifying the need for tailored services that meet their specific needs. Ultimately, what you need to do here is identify your target market what your target market is suffering with, and find research detailing and or implies that their needs are a result of their suffering. So we're going to move on to section 6, which is competitive status. When it comes to section 6, we really focus on your business's competitive status. Like the previous section regarding the market, this section requires you to do thorough research. The first question you need to ask yourself is, who are your competitors and what sets you apart from them? Detail a minimum of 3 competitors, including their URLs, and clear explanations regarding what sets you apart from them. So this is some active research that you need to do on your end, no matter what field you're going into. You really need to delve into your competitors and say, okay, this person is offering this person is offering that. I can see how they're different, but I'm offering I'm offering what they're offering, including something extra. That's something that you need to really understand. And that will go back to how you market your product and or services to the public. When you think about your competitors, think about them in terms of direct and indirect competitors. Direct competitors being those businesses that are doing similar work to what you're doing, as I mentioned to you before. And then indirect competitors are businesses that aren't necessarily providing similar services and or products or solving a particular human problem, but that could be perceived as competitors from the outside world for some reason or another. Wix defines indirect competition, also known as substitutes, as when two or more businesses offer different products and or services and compete for the same market to satisfy the same customer need. For example, house painters are indirect competitors of home improvement chains, such as Ace Hardware or Home Depot, because they offer products such as paint and rollers to get the job done, you know. And then the second question you need to ask yourself is, what are the most common challenges businesses within your industry face? Nextly, you must do research to determine what the most common challenges are for businesses within your industry. If you're providing mental health services to the elderly, for example, you may find that such businesses have a hard time attracting the right employees with the necessary experiences and unique credentials, or that the elderly people that you're targeting tend to not be in a position to seek the services you are providing them, making it necessary for your company to have to go through their caretaker, adding on another barrier of entry for your company in terms of getting buy-in from your target market. It is important for you to note these challenges and overcome, but only concerted efforts and rigorous strategic planning will help you do so. This is why it's also important for you to be aware of these challenges, because they are some important factors that you need to account for when building your business. And then the third question is, what competitive advantages do you believe your business has that would help it overcome those common challenges? This brings us to the next question. The factors to think about here are, do you have a unique distribution channel? Do you provide low cost for a typically expensive product? Do you offer a high quality service for less, etc.? Think about the extent to which your competitive advantage has potential to prepare your business above the projected challenges listed in each favorable qualities here in direct relation to the common challenges and questions. Based on relevant research, question 4, how do you see the market your business falls within changing in the near future? And how do you think such changes will impact your presumed competitive advantage? And lastly, based on relevant research, how do you see the market your business falls within changing in the near future? These questions require you to do in-depth research regarding the industry or industries your business fall within in terms of the projected trends and direction experts argue such industries will be going in relation to what makes your business competitive. For example, if you plan to create an in-person programming for a niche population that no one else is providing such programming for, your competitive advantage is your unique target market. However, if your studies show that the virtual programming is becoming more mainstream, you may have to reconsider only offering in-person programming and consider offering both options to ensure your target market stays interested in what you have to offer. Or imagine if you were creating a unique technology that informs people about their blood pressure. Let's assume that there's nothing like this on the market for this purpose. You would need to do research regarding the direction scientists are going into, such as technology in the next 5 or 10 years, to make sure you're accounting for those changes, as those changes will impact your target market. In either case, you must ask yourself how the future will affect your business, and this is what makes your business unique.
Right. If I could just add in there, Peter, it definitely sounds like what we regard to as a SWOT analysis. So that's when you're looking at strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and the threats that exist. And we in the work that I do, we definitely encourage people when taking on new endeavors like a business to do SWOT analysis, because this is the in-depth evaluation that you've got to really look at all angles to see what you're facing, where your assets lie or where those value propositions lie, but also again some of the issues that you may not have technically observed right off of the surface analysis, right? So you definitely want to dig deep and then look at all factors surrounding your business before you jump in, because once you're there, again, you got to figure things out. But again, it makes sense to prepare yourself and to be ready as you possibly can be, just with bearing in mind all the things that you're going to have to face inevitably.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And lastly, the last thing that you really have to think about is revenue, which details exclusively, what it takes to really run your business, and these questions are pretty straightforward in our business concept form. It will require you to think deeply about your expenses and how they will incur. And you have to predict, you have to forecast, you have to see what it is that you need immediately. And some of the questions you have to ask yourself is, what are the key activities generating revenue for my business, for your business? This will force you to think about, the revenue side of your business. How will my business stay afloat? And then the second question you have to ask yourself is, what is your first year's operating budget? Like ideally we want everyone, when they're working on their business concept, to say, all right, what will it cost me to operate for a year? And then you really have to look into those costs for incorporation. If you want to be a brick and mortar, how much will that cost, to have a venue? How much will your equipment cost? All these things have to be factored in when thinking about revenue and creating a budget, like in various lines of work, it's very important for entrepreneurs to really think about every single aspect when it comes to the website, when it comes to website design, when it comes to marketing. All this stuff needs to be factored into your yearly budget, and then as you see that on paper, then you can actually forecast for 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. Due to inflation, you can factor in the fact that costs might go up or down, depending on the market itself. So these are all questions that you have to ask yourself as you work on Section 7. And lastly, I wanted to let you know about the character count. The idea, as I said to you before, the character count on our business concept form, they're there because we want you to be very concise. So I usually suggest to our students and people who go through our programming to write everything out. Like if it's 10 pages, write everything out. Get all of your thoughts and ideas on that specific question out. And then go back in and make things very concise. Look at things like, do I really need this sentence? Do I really need that sentence? So at that point, everything is very focused at the end of your business concept. And as you share your business concept with your mentor, or let's say you find a mentor at the BBPA and you share this concept with them, they have a full understanding of your business concept, as well as your foresight and what you see happening in the future of the industry you decide to go in. So keep in mind to stay within the character count after you write out all of your ideas. Now I'm going to jump into legalizing your business. Now that you're fully aware of the mindset needed to develop a thorough community-minded business concept, I want to move the conversation to and discussion to legalizing your business. As you go through the process of getting your business off the ground and executing your business concept, you'll realize that it is the most straightforward investment that you might have, you know, because everything is on paper. But then the first step is actually legalizing it, which is the, you know, the most important thing, you know. Thus, as you build out your operational components of your business, it's extremely important for you to make all the necessary legal investments in order to protect yourself and your assets and those who could potentially take your work. Making such early stage investments will help you avoid the unimaginable headaches in the end. We will review the fundamental startup investments that will ensure that your business is publicly and legally recognized in ways that it will safeguard it from concept theft, as I mentioned to you before. Please note that the order in which we discuss them is the order in which we recommend you execute each step. In Canada, there are 3 legal structures. You know, that's the sole proprietor, the partnership, and corporation. Only the corporation separates your personal assets from the assets of the business. So it's very important for you to, you know, if you decide to go into entrepreneurship, to incorporate your business. But before we do so, before we get there, you know, like I want to actually walk you through some of the ways, because we talked about your business name, you know, and I know that in Canada, more specifically, you know, this is an easy way for you to find if your business name already exists. So you can visit, let me get this link and share it with you.
It's called Nuance.
Yes, Nuance.
Yeah.
But there's another
ANS, Nuance. Yeah. It's a Nuance search that you can access online. Mm-hmm. And you can see if that name, as Peter was just saying, exists. And if it does exist, then obviously you've got to change another one. And if there's something like, for instance, if you're going to be opening a burger restaurant and, you know, your last name is McDonald's, mm-hmm. well, or McDonald, you may not be able to use anything with McDonald's in terms of obviously just having that intellectual property from the McDonald's that we all know. But, you know, obviously there's different ways to go about it. And if there's issues, you can also hire a corporate lawyer or an employment lawyer to help you with your name search, but also settling on a name.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, I'm sure the BBPA has all of the links to the nuance, to find the nuances page on the government website. So you can actually search your business concept name to make sure it is available, or if it's not, then you would have to really obviously, you know, create something else. But after you do that, it's strongly suggested to see if that name is available on a domain, you know, and make sure that the domain is available. You know, ideally, we want you to, you know, get a .com or .org. And weigh the pros and cons of going with a particular extension, you know, because a lot of people nowadays, you know, you have .shop, you have .net, all of these various endings to a particular extension. But .com is the most popular one. And sometimes it's good to purchase the .com and the .org if you're a nonprofit group, or, you know, like, and get all of the extensions, because sometimes they sell a package. So ideally, we would like you, ideally you should visit like a website like GoDaddy to see if that domain is available and purchase that domain name. I just wanted to go through some top level domains. The .com is a top level domain, and it is by far the most popular extension, as I mentioned to you before. And thus one of the highest value of professional websites. While it was originally conceived to host commercial websites, nowadays is used to and has extended to any type of site, despite the long list of alternative devised, you know, extensions. Like I said to you before, the .nets, the .shops. Ever since the phrase .com was used to describe the rise and subsequent fall of the online startups in the 90s, this domain extension has become synonymous with the internet. As of today, 48% of global websites use a .com. And when I say top level domain, I'm going to use an acronym, which is TLD. TLD and consumers perceive that this extension for web addresses essentially is top tier. This means that not only is the .com much easier for your audience to remember, but also that they might actually type in the wrong URL if you're using a different extension. The sheer representation of the .com TLD means that its availability is quite limited and can significantly complicate the process of choosing a domain name. With this in mind, it's important for you to check your domain's feasibility in the first stages in starting a business, and ideally take into account when coming up with your business name. Now, to talk a little bit about the .org. The .org TLD stands for organization and is primarily used for nonprofit websites such as charities, NGOs, open source projects, and educational platforms. This extension was one of the original domains established in 1985 and therefore perceived as stronger and more credible than newer alternatives. Technically, any type of business or organization can use a .org domain as long as they back it with the right marketing strategy that will avoid potential misunderstandings amongst those who still connect the domain extension with nonprofits. However, the notion that .org domains belong to charities, NGOs, and educational platforms is so ingrained in the collective mindset that you might want to keep this TLD as a last resort resource only, unless you fall into one of the other categories. So .net is the second most popular extension. It's often presented as a recommended alternative when it comes to .com. When you try to buy a domain name that is already in use, it's estimated that around 4% of all global registered domains use this extension, which is .net. The .net name extension stands for network and was originally meant to be used by umbrella websites acting as a portal for small sites. You should use the .net extension to register a domain name for a business that provides services like the internet, website hosting, databases, or collaboration tools. Other reasons to use .net when .com is not available. In this case, you will need to make sure that your same domain name with a .com extension is not the same industry. It's not in the same industry. Otherwise, your audience might end up becoming their clients. So, take for instance, if you go with a .net, let's say I'm using this as an example, like Verizon.net, right? Somebody could have purchased Verizon.com, and it's so ingrained in our minds to go to .com. So if you type in Verizon.com and another website pops up, the person might think that that's your website and really go through the process, especially if they're in a similar industry. Or they might be confused and say, oh, this is not a credible business, so I'm just going to drop it. So the idea is to really understand the nuances when it comes to really selecting a website extension name. While choosing a .net or .com extension does not impact your website's SEO capabilities, a mobile browser's UI design can negatively affect sites with a .net domain. Most smartphone keyboards have a button dedicated to domain extensions, but as you probably noticed, its default option is always .com. As a result, searching for .net domains is more time consuming because you have to actually type it out, and it's less user friendly. So I just wanted to make you guys aware of the differences of the domain extensions. So you're prepared when you're finally settling on an actual business name. The extension kind of should fit what it is that you're creating. As previously mentioned, there are 3 legal structures in Canada: a sole proprietor, a partnership, incorporation, which I'm sure some of you already know. But I want to take a moment to look at a brief clip on how to incorporate your business in Canada by watching Ali Rastagari. He really breaks down how to incorporate your business in Canada very straightforward. And at that point, we can actually talk about it a little bit and talk about the resources I'm sure the BPPA has and the resources that we have on our end to really help you along the way. So let's take a moment to watch this clip. And let me know if you can hear it.
There are two main reasons why most Canadian business owners incorporate their business in Canada: limited liability and tax advantages. So as a shareholder, you have limited liability, which means you and the other shareholders are not responsible for the corporation debts and obligations. Basically, what happens here is that you separate yourself from the corporation because corporations in Canada are considered legal separate entity. Now, reason number two is the corporate tax rates are much lower than the individual tax rates in Canada. Also, you have the option to pay yourself in a salary or dividends to save taxes. So in Canada, you have the option to cooperate federally or provincially. So in both situations, you're able to operate your business in all provinces all over Canada, and you can also sell products or offer services to your customers anywhere in the world. But the main advantage of incorporating federally is that it's going to provide you with more business name protection, which means your business name is going to be registered all over Canada rather than registering provincially, which gives you protection just in that specific province. So in this video, I'll share with you the step-by-step process on how to register and incorporate your business in Canada. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first step is to Google incorporate in Canada and go to this link that says Federal Incorporation Corporations Canada. So this is the official website of the Government of Canada, and it says federal incorporations offer many benefits, including the right to use your name across Canada, limited liability, lower corporate tax rates, and better access to capital and grants. So before we get started, make sure to go to how to incorporate a business under guides and help and get more information about registering your own corporation. But of course, I already went through this process, and I'm going to click on incorporate at the bottom of this page to get started. So once you sign in and get to this page, you're going to have three different options for your corporation. The basic corporation gives you a numbered name like 12348 Canada Inc., and it allows you to choose between a predetermined share structure for one or two classes of shares. This is the quickest and easiest way to incorporate federally because you get articles of incorporation with basic provisions. Now, the custom incorporation gives you the flexibility to tailor your articles of incorporation, which I'm going to dive into. It allows you to choose a word name of your choice, for example, Chico Hairdressing, or a numbered name. Also, it allows you to create a structure with multiple classes of shares. Finally, we have not-for-profit corporations. It says non-profit corporations do not issue shares, they have members. So if you want more info, you can go ahead and learn more about that. But for today's video, we are going to focus on custom incorporations. So let's select it and click on next. Here we are going to enter our contact information like first name, last name, phone number, and email address. Next, we are going to choose a name for our corporation. As you can see, we have three different options. The first option is a word name. It says propose a new word name of your choice. The name must be as distinct as possible to limit confusion with any existing companies. There is an additional fee of $13.80 for this service. Now, the second option is use your name already approved by Corporations Canada. If you already got your name pre-approved, you should select this one. And finally, numbered, where your company gets a numbered name like 12348 Canada Inc. So for the purpose of this video, we are going to select word name and click on next. Here you can decide to have one name in English or French, or two separate names in English and French. So if you live in Quebec, you need to have a French form, but I'm in British Columbia, so I'm gonna go with one name, just English. Here we have to propose our business name. So a business name should have three different parts: a distinct term like your first name or last name, a descriptive term like construction or roofing or consultation or marketing, and a legal element like corporation or incorporated or Inc. So here is a tool that we can go ahead and enter our name and click on search. As you can see, we should confirm which word distinguishes our business name, which in this case is my first name, Ali. We add our name like a made-up name or last name, business activity, which in this case is consulting services. Customers are the general public across Canada. As you can see, after reviewing my search results, it says there is a similar name and it's already active, so we are going to try another name. Alright, I replaced my last name with my first name, and it seems we can go ahead and propose this one. The next step is to pay the naming fee, which is $13.80, and once the payment is made, we will get a corporate name receipt by email. Alright, once you're done with your corporate name, the next step is to complete your articles of incorporation. So the first step here is to select your province. As you can see, it says your corporation must have a registered office in Canada. I'm located in Vancouver, British Columbia, so I'm going to select BC. Alright, the next step is description of classes of shares. As you can see, it says an incorporated business must issue at least one class of shares. In this section, you must describe the classes of shares of the incorporation and the maximum number of shares of the corporation is authorized to issue for each class. If there are more than one class of shares, you must specify the right choice privileges, restrictions, and conditions for each. You may choose predefined text that is commonly used to describe either one or two classes of shares, or you may insert your own description. So I'm going to click on information icon to show you exactly what they mean. So one class of shares means that the corporation is authorized to issue unlimited number of common shares. Two classes of shares means that the corporation is authorized to issue an unlimited number of class A, class B shares with the following rights, privileges, and restrictions. So I'm going to select one class of shares and continue. The next step is to put restrictions on share transfers. As you can see, it says putting restrictions on share transfers is not mandatory, but if you want to restrict the transfer of the corporation shares, you must do so here. Choose none if you don't want any restrictions. If you want all transfers of shares to be approved by directors, you may choose a predefined text that is commonly used to require approval of share transfers. You may also insert your own restriction. Please indicate all restrictions on share transfer at this time. Alright, so I'm going to click on tip, and as you can see, it says you may wish to restrict the transfer of shares or securities to prevent the corporation from becoming a reporting issuer or the provincial or territorial security, and to avoid being as a distribution corporation under the CBCA. To do this, choose the predefined text requiring approval of shares transfers in this part. So I'm going to click on information icon next to the previous line to show you exactly what it is. As you can see, it says the right to transfer shares of the corporation shall be restricted, and no shareholder can transfer any shares of the corporation without the approval of directors or shareholders. So that's exactly what I want, so I'm going to select the predefined text for my restrictions and continue. Alright, the next step is to select a minimum and a maximum number of directors for our corporation. As you can see, it says a corporation must have at least one director. Indicate the minimum and the maximum number of directors of your corporation. If you want a fixed number of directors, indicate the same number in each box. So if I open the tip, it says providing a minimum and maximum number of directors rather than a fixed number will offer more flexibility and may help corporation avoid making amendments and paying an extra $200. We are going to leave it as it is, its default, which is minimum 1 and maximum 10, and continue. Alright, the next step is to put restrictions on business activities. It says putting restrictions on the business a corporation may carry is not mandatory, but if you want to restrict the activities of your corporation, you can do it here. Choose none if you don't want any restrictions. You can also insert your own restrictions. So if I click click on tip, it says most corporations do not provide any restrictions, and simply select none. If you, for some reason, want to limit the commercial activities of your company, you could use a text such as this one to complete. So I'm going to select none and continue. In the next step, you can include other provisions. So there are two predefined provisions here. The first one is restrictions on securities transfer, and the second one is borrowing powers of directors. So I'm going to click on information to show you exactly what they mean. So the first one is about the corporation securities. It says the corporation securities shall not be transferred without either the sanction of the majority of directors or shareholders. So I'll definitely select this one. The next provision says the directors of the corporation may time to time borrow money or issue debt obligations. So I'm going to select this one as well and continue. The next step is to add incorporators. It says every corporation must have at least one incorporator. To be an incorporator, an individual must be at least 18 years of age, not bankrupt, and not incapable. So we are going to click on add individual and autofill our information. The next step is to select the effective date of incorporation. So once you select it, click on next. All right, the next step is to review the information you provided and make sure that they're all correct. You also have to print and sign this PDF and keep it for yourself. And of course, you don't have to send anything to Corporations Canada because they already have these documents. The next step is to enter our office address and add the first board of directors. It says the information provided below is your business corporate information and will be publicly available on Corporations Canada website. This includes the name and address of directors as well as your corporation's registered office address, even if it's a residential address. This is where your corporation must keep its corporate records and where legal documents can be served and will be assumed to have been received by corporation. So once you add your business address, the next step is to add the first board of directors name and address and authorize yourself or other directors like your family members or business partners and click on next. The next step is to review this information and print a PDF and keep it for yourself and document it somewhere safe. I personally document all of my things on Google Drive for the past few years and I highly recommend it. So once you make sure that everything is correct, you can confirm and continue to the next page. This page is about your tax return reminder notice, and it says once incorporated, the company will be required to file an annual return every year. This lets CRA know that you're still in business. Corporations Canada automatically sends annual return reminder notices by mail to the corporation and its registered office address or a different address if requested. You can choose to have the reminder notices sent by email instead, which is much better. So this is optional, but I personally prefer to receive emails, so I'll enter my email address and continue. All right, here it says you must register your corporation in every province where you conduct your business. So if you are in Ontario, make sure to select it. There isn't much here, you just have to fill a short form and give consent. So I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia. I don't have to select any of them here, so I'll continue. All right, the final step is to pay the incorporation fee, which is 200 Canadian dollars. We also paid $13.80 at the beginning for our business name, which makes it almost $214 in total to incorporate your business in Canada. Once you make the payment, you're going to receive an email from Corporation Canada, which includes your invoice and transaction approval receipt, and you're going to receive another email in a few hours, up to 24 hours, that you have officially incorporated your business in Canada. So after incorporating, your business has a few obligations, but there are three important documents that you're required to keep. The first one is your minute book, which documents transactions. The second one is your annual tax returns and GST HST return. And finally, the third one is your company updates, which is informing Corporation Canada for any changes in your company. So if you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have any questions, make sure to comment below and I'll try my best to help you out. Make sure to watch one of these videos next because you don't want to miss them. As always, thanks for watching and see you in the next video.
All right. And for those of you who are thinking about starting a business and haven't got to the registration part of that yet, the BBPA BADES program, the Business Advisory Implementation Development Service, can help you with that process. So if you're interested and you want to start that business, do check us on our website at bbpa.org and look under the programs section for BADES and register for BADES, and you'll be one of the hundreds of people that have been helped, if we're not actually in the 1,000 range right now, in terms of just helping you get that business started and off the ground, and also providing other business services that are pertinent for your success as a business owner.
Awesome, awesome. I mean, like as Roderick perfectly stated, the BBPA has plenty of resources for you to really take things to the next level. And it's really important for you to take advantage of that, because as I mentioned to you before in the previous sessions, entrepreneurship, owning a business is an asset that you can actually pass down to the next generation. And it's a core of generational wealth, essentially. So it's really important for you to really take advantage of all of these wonderful tools out here. You know, they're out there for you to take advantage of, and organizations like ours and the BBPA, we're there to really take things to the next level. So if there aren't any questions, and I'm sure that, you know, like, okay, well, Victoria, you just put the the link in the chat group, which is awesome. So I'm just going to move on.
Okay.
So with that information, once you've registered, incorporated your business with the state of, with the country of Canada, ideally you can take all of that paperwork and open up a business bank account. Essentially, that's what they're going to utilize and see. They're going to review your documents and give you the opportunity to open up a bank account, as stated in step 1 through 4. So that all of that information that you get from that incorporation process, just take that over to the bank. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about making your business real to the public. Now, when it comes to making your business real to the public, there are 4 items included here, which are steps we highly recommend you take. They're not legally mandatory, but, you know, like, we feel as though, like, if you want your business to be competitive, then it'd be in your best interest to invest your time, your money into these things. How much money and time you invest in these activities is a personal decision, honestly. And it depends only also on exactly what you're trying to achieve. So after opening up your business account, the next thing you will want to do, which will require some money, but mostly time, especially initially, is building your website, you know, and social media pages. You know, ideally, once you grab your domain name, the next step should be just grabbing all of your social media handles. You'll be quite surprised. A lot of people are out there just, they're looking at people looking at social media handles and domain names. So if you look at something, ideally, and it's available and you really want it, it doesn't take much to invest a little bit of money into those things. You know, the benefit in doing so is having your concept live in such virtual spaces, which will allow you to gain a sense of what the public initially thinks of you and what you plan to offer. So as I mentioned to you, building a website is very easy nowadays. There are many user-friendly platforms out there to make it very easy for you to customize templates. So we suggest that you build what you can now, and then as money, as you gain income, then you can really make that investment into a platform that utilizes every component that you need to make take your idea to the next level. But initially, building a website is very easy. You know, there are plenty of platforms out there. And then you can also take advantage of freelance service providers out there that can be found on platforms like Fiverr. You know, people build websites for $100, $40, take advantage of those tools because the internet is vastly, there's a vast amount of information out there and as well as opportunity for services that will take your business to the next level. And then the second thing you should do is create your products and or services. As you're creating a website, and social media pages. And when I want to go back a little bit with your social media pages, you really have to be crafty nowadays, really understanding the analytics and, like the flow of which you need to interact with your target market. It's very key, and using best practices, using color schemes to really grasp your audience is very important. And then when it comes to creating your product and or services, you should also be working on making your products and or services available in the virtual world, because in the virtual world, it's very saturated with a lot of products, but you want your brand to stand out even more, so really create unique ways to market your business concept and or services to the public in a unique way. And then, of course, revisit your marketing approach, and we ask that you always revisit your marketing approach as you market your products to the public. And as revenue comes in, we ask that you consistently reinvest in marketing because before you know it, the product is so solid that all you're doing is investing in marketing. When you look at some of the top brands out there, all they do is spend marketing dollars because the product is the product. Everybody wants it. So how can they reach more people? How can they gain a global audience? And that goes into marketing. But as of right now, you start small, but I'm saying at the end of the day, you're going to ultimately start investing in marketing, and that will be your primary investment in the future. And those are all the tools that I feel like at development we offer, and we tell anyone who's tapping into entrepreneurship or creating a community-minded business concept. We take you through every single component. We ask that you think deeply about those questions and put them on paper in a concise way. So as you're passing along or as you're sharing your idea with other people, they're fully aware that you're very serious, and two, that they have an understanding of the direction you want to go with your business. So this brings us to the end of our sessions. If you participated in our previous sessions, I want to say congratulations on gaining the intellectual autonomy that comes with becoming aware of your socioeconomic status in relation to the wealth building process and how business ownership can be leveraged to facilitate economic advancement. At Development, we're truly passionate about supporting ambitious young Black visionaries as they actualize their dreams and become visionary leaders. I can't stress that enough. Additionally, I want you guys to check out our other programs for the youth by visiting our website. That includes our entrepreneurship program for the youth and our Black Generational Wealth Workshop for the youth, as well as alternative career services, which is for the youth. And last but not least, I want to urge everyone, if you haven't already, just get a copy of our book, Understanding How to Build Black Generational Wealth. It's available on Amazon. It's there. Yeah, I'm open to questions. Roderick, if you have any questions.
Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to say thank you again for that, Peter. But people in our Zoom room, if you've got any questions for Peter, please do ask them now. As we know, to build intergenerational wealth, it's not going to come through usually, your 9 to 5 or your typical job. It comes through your entrepreneurship endeavors or your journeys as an entrepreneur. And we at the BVPA definitely encourage you, if you've got an idea, to expand on that and to scale up in a sense of just being able to have the sky as your limit when it comes down to business and generation of income. So please do ask your questions for Peter now. If there's anything that we can't answer now, we can definitely put it back to the BVPA and they can get back to you in regards to finding out the answers for your questions. So come one, come all, ask your questions. Yeah, I mean, I think just in terms of what we've seen and some of the stats that you shared, Peter, within the last few sessions, obviously entrepreneurship and Black entrepreneurship is a very viable option in terms of wealth creation and income generation. And one of the stats that you did share is that entrepreneurs, Black entrepreneurs, on average, make 12 times more than their counterparts who are, I guess, just within the realm of the 9 to 5 or just working for another entity. So that was a scientific proven fact. So being on your own and watching and learning the trends of whatever sector that you're in is definitely something you could or should consider if you're looking to expand on your idea or expand on your business in that regard if it's already established. Yes, Reem. And at the BBPA, this being almost the end of the month in terms of January, for February, we'll be having several different initiatives and different programs showcasing Black businesses from the past, but not just in the past, but in the future. And at the BBPA, we like to say that every day is Black History Day, not just the month, or every month is Black History Month. And we just don't observe history, we make history in terms of having things happen on an ongoing basis, but acknowledging it and highlighting people from our community here in Canada, but all across the African diaspora. And when we see it and we believe it, it makes it that much more accessible and easier for us to do it. So the BBPA is always putting up, whether it be on our social media or on our website, or just in the community itself, and not just talking about it, but being about it and doing it in regards to propping up Black business and just continuing to be champions within the entrepreneurial space. So yes, definitely do visit our website. And I guess if there's no questions right now, we can just get into some of the programs that we have coming up in the next few weeks. So if Victoria, you could share those programs, and I can just do a little brief intro on what's going to be happening. So every Wednesday at 12 o'clock p.m., we have a program called Ask a Professional. And for the next 3 weeks, starting February the 1st, we're going to be talking about the importance of tech for Black entrepreneurs. And we touched briefly on that today with Peter. And technology is not going anywhere, folks. It's the only actually where it's going to be going is more in terms of just being ingrained within our society day to day. And Ask a Professional is hosted by the other Moi Fung. She's a great host. So please join every Wednesday at 12 o'clock p.m. Also, we're going to be starting in February, on February the 1st, the Baysal Future Forward, hosted by Tony Downey. And Tony Downey is also within the tech space, and he's got a company called, I believe, Jobify. Actually, it is Jobify. It's right there in front of my face. So please definitely do join Tony and register today in terms of for young people looking to start their business. And he will be, I believe, hosting throughout the month of February every Wednesday and at 7 o'clock p.m. And register today on the BBPA. And for the next 4 weeks here on Community Space, we'll be having one of our new board members. His name is Brian Duarte, and he will be hosting Community Space for the next 4 weeks. And we're going to be talking about unpacking financial trauma, which is obviously very important, managing your money. And we're going to be having a slew of new guests. Obviously, we're going to be talking about investing and what you need to know, because investing is obviously so important, and we need to know how to invest and where to invest to make good on our money. So definitely, please do join Brian in the next few weeks here on Community Space, 10 a.m. And last but not least, the BBPA and Urban Solutions is going to be doing the second iteration of Street Entrepreneurs, and these are for budding entrepreneurs between 18 and 35 who are looking to start a business and who may have a business but haven't formalized it yet. So we say we're taking that business idea from the block to the boardroom, and we had an amazing cohort last year that finished with an amazing group of young people, getting their businesses off the ground and going on to do some major things. So please definitely do join us. And that information session will also be on February the 1st at 8 o'clock p.m. So do register. You can go on the BBPA Instagram and get that information, or you can go on the Say It Loud Canada Instagram and get the information to register. And we definitely would look forward to seeing you on February the 1st at 8 o'clock p.m. for the information session. And you can also take your smartphones and see the QR code there to register now. So we spaces are limited for all the programs. But we definitely encourage you to register now. You got to be in it to win it, and you got to show up to blow up. So definitely, please join all the BBPA programs in the next few weeks, and also at the Center of Excellence located in Toronto at 180 Elm Street. We'll be having programs in person at the BBPA. So we look forward to seeing you all in some form or format. So also tell a friend to get involved and stay involved with the BBPA. So on that note, we just wanted to say thank you very much to Peter from Development for the last 3 sessions, the last 3 Saturdays, gracing us with so much information and the gems that you've given our community. Thank you very much, Peter. And if you haven't been able to connect with Peter, please do so. And if you can just put your information one more time in the chat, Peter, that'd be great for anybody who wants to follow up with you. And we just wanted to say again, on behalf of the BBPA, thank you for all that you do for our community. And also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, RBC, the Donald Reed Estate, and the BBPA for all the work that all the staff does behind the scenes, getting all of these programs and opportunities ready for our community on an ongoing basis. We just wanted to say thank you. And we also wanted to say thank you for joining us here this morning here on Community Space, the financial literacy program that speaks the language of the community. And join us next week, same time, same place here on Community Space. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Community Spaces, the financial literacy program that speaks and reaches the community. Are we going to be in a better place, or are we going to be still, quote unquote, behind the 8 ball?
Because of the historical disadvantage that our community has, we most times do not have financial role models. Without that, economically and financially speaking, we'll always be at the bottom.
Keep proper books and record, because the data drives the strategy and the strategy drives the profits.
COVID-19 sort of removed a veil. It's really exposed the structural barriers that our communities face.
These last 2 years, where there's been a heightened emphasis on the well-being of Black people, has influenced the influx of funds and opportunities. The time is now. How long is that window going to be open?
We'll see you next week. And don't forget to tell a friend to join us here on Community Space